like was a valuable lesson in trying to do it all by yourself. And also what happened when you try to sell things retail. There's all kinds of things. If you don't have the infrastructure to deal with a rehab, you will think that it's so easy because of what you see on TV, but it's far from the truth.
You're listening to 5 Hour Real Estate Week, where you'll learn to consistently buy real estate in only 5 hours a week. So if you're ready to invest in real estate, achieve financial freedom, and own the lifestyle you deserve, even with your job, this is the show for you. Now, here's your host, Mike Butler.
Okay, hello and welcome. We've got our special Winter Wednesday superstar investor, my good friend Fred Helm. And Fred began his real estate investing career back when he had his full-time job, just like me, as a police officer in our local town in Louisville, Kentucky. So, Fred, we're going to thank you for joining me for your Winter Wednesdays. And the goal of this is to share with other investors, especially those getting started and have a job, on what your experience has been and some of the things to avoid and some of the things that really skyrocketed your results. So, Fred, did you have a job when you began your real estate investing career?
Yes, I did. I was working full-time as a police officer.
And what department or division?
The Louisville Metro Police.
Okay, so you were in uniform, driving around in a patrol car?
That's right. I was working patrol at the time.
Okay, so how did you discover Mike Butler?
Well, Mike Butler was also on the police department, and I think you retired a little bit after 2000. And I didn't know much about real estate at the time, but other cops that I knew were landlords, and that kind of turned me on to it. And then I ended up going to our local REIA, real estate investor group, and that's where I realized that you were there, and we just kind of hit it off.
Yeah, so I retired in March 31st of 2000, so pretty close. So you didn't actually get to meet me until CREA?
I knew of you. I've seen you around. I just didn't know you was into real estate and all that stuff until after I went.
So you knew me as the undercover police detective?
Right.
Okay. So what was your greatest desire when you and I first met?
Well, when I started going to the REIA, I didn't have many people to help me out. And I was there was some overwhelming information out there. Didn't really know what to do with it. So I saw you there. I kind of walked up to you and said, "Hey, Mike, could you talk to me, help me out?" You just kind of took me under your wing.
So did I do that?
You did.
So that would have been in 2000?
A little after that. Well, I didn't really start to get into real estate until 2005 or 6.
Okay, so
like I said, I was exposed to it, and I just kind of kept doing the thing that most cops do, which is work off duty and security.
For extra income.
Like a lot of other cops was getting into real estate as landlords, and I just kept getting exposed to it, and I just got turned on by it.
Okay. So back then, what was your problem? Okay, so the greatest desire when you and I first met, but what was, let's say, if you can identify it, the biggest problem you had trying to work your full-time job and to be a real estate investor at the same time?
Well, systems was one thing that I really desired, how to organize my time and to, like I said, a lot of the information that I was getting was just all out there. I was overwhelmed by it, didn't know how to organize it and systematize it and move forward. So I needed a mentor, and you just happened to be there when I needed one real bad.
Okay, what about, was any of your challenges involving like trying to find deals, trying to find money to buy them, talking to people? Were any of those things problems?
Finding deals was definitely a challenge, and putting the money together. When I first started real estate, my credit was very challenged, and I had a lot to rebuild. So I was forced to use other methods to put deals together, which is kind of your specialty. So that was a blessing.
So you attended the How to Buy Without Banks, Money, Credit, Private Lenders, or Partners boot camp. Was that an eye opener?
Absolutely.
In what way?
And a lot of investors that I know still don't get it. They have a one-track mind when it comes to doing real estate. So I've done like you. I've never bought a property by going to a bank and asking for a loan. I haven't done it yet.
All right, man, that is awesome. Did you hear that, guys? Fred said even today, as of right now, he's never gone to a bank to buy an investment property. And what can you attribute that to? That achievement?
Education.
Huh?
Education.
Yeah. Okay. You also mentioned, and I'm just going back and I'm going to stir the pot here just a little bit. You being a policeman, you would think that you would have great interpersonal communication skills. But as a policeman, we're wearing the badge and we've got the heavy hand as far as the mindset of to take control and to be the authority, correct?
That's right. I agree with
Okay.
that.
And then you enrolled in our inner circle program for advanced investors. And you told me, Mike said, I can do my police job just fine. But when I'm one-on-one with a motivated seller, I have a hard time talking to them. Do you remember that?
I do. It's just that building rapport and talking to people just on a personal level isn't that difficult, but putting on the salesman hat is difficult for me. And I struggle with that a lot.
Okay. So have you improved in that area working with me?
Yes. I mean, you told me to quit trying to sell and just talk to them. And I said,
Yeah.
well, I can do that.
Okay. At this point in your success, Fred, what would you say are the three biggest things you know to maximize your effort and results? Coming from a 20-plus year investor, okay, because you started your education around 2000. So somebody now listening to our podcast, what would you say are the three biggest things you know to maximize your effort and results working with Mike?
I think that definitely the education is necessary. I've noticed a lot of investors out there just kind of spinning their wheels. So you need education. You definitely need a mentor. That's a game changer for me, is having a mentor and somebody to help you organize all that information. Also being around other investors that doing the same thing you're doing, because it's easy to get discouraged and just where you're not gonna be out there doing the thing, because one of the problems a lot of investors have is analysis paralysis, and you just got to go out there and try things. You can't just sit there and keep analyzing and not doing it, and not worrying about making mistakes, because you're going to.
Yep, you're going to make mistakes. Okay, that's true. So the second question is kind of like the opposite of that. What's your three fatal mistakes that you've seen, witnessed, or experienced for investors to avoid? I catch you off guard on that one? Yeah,
that is a good question. I mean, I going out there alone, wolfing it, is definitely not the way to go. And one thing you taught me is I use it every day, is never take advice from broke people.
Yeah, bad advice, especially from poor people.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, that can
also, I tell you one thing, as an investor, I've had a tendency to want to do everything myself and not run it as a business. And that has been a big mistake. That has held me down. So I would say that is a fatal mistake a lot of investors make, is you need to build it up as a business and run it as a business and delegate, because you just simply can't do this all by yourself.
Okay, I'm going to say one word, and I want you to expand on that and just share some of the pain and frustration. Flintlock.
Flintlock was a valuable lesson in trying to do it all by yourself. And also what happened when you try to sell things retail. There's all kinds of things. If you don't have the infrastructure to deal with a rehab, you will think that it's so easy because of what you see on TV, but it's far from the truth.
Okay, so what was the lesson learned? So Flintlock, you got a great deal on it price-wise, but wasn't it a major rehab? I mean, it needed a lot of stuff. Wasn't the basement flooded and had like 2 feet of water sitting in it?
It did. There was a lot of unseen challenges if you don't have the experience as a contractor or just in that area. And I've learned a lot on the job experience, but you could buy yourself a job if you don't organize yourself correctly and you don't know what you're doing. And
you can buy yourself a job. Okay. Boy, and was that a big time eater doing that one?
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize that rehabs will take a lot longer than you think. They just always do. And if you need the money, you're going to find out that you're going to be stressed out every single day. So it's definitely not an advanced investor tactic, in my opinion. It's something that you should do once you've built a good business up and you have the time that you can let a house sit for months.
And the other thing is, it's taking time away from you finding deals. And
Right.
if you were to stumble over the Flintlock deal today, what would you have done with that property? Would you have done something different?
Well, if I was going to rehab it, I would definitely hand it over to a contractor and not be personally involved with the day-to-day. But more so these days, what I do is I try to wholesale them unless I'm going to keep it as a rental.
Okay, but that was a major, major rehab. I mean, it was a good, solid house. It had good bones. It was a brick ranch, had a full basement and a garage. I mean, very nice home, an owner-occupied neighborhood, great place for rental. It just needed too much work, and it just wore. I can't tell you how many coaching sessions me and Fred had going over that. And he said, man, you told me not to do this, and I should have listened to you. I remember that a lot. So what's your definition of a rehab today? Is it something like painting carpet and just clean it out and clean up the yard and paint it, put new floors in,
Right.
something simple like that?
Something that you could do for no more than $15 a square foot, no more than just cosmetic repairs. If you have to move walls and fix major foundations and anything that would require a permit, absolutely not.
Anything that requires a permit, run, like Forrest Gump.
Exactly. Yeah, 'cause it's just, if you can go in there, my personal definition is if I can do it myself, I'm going to hire it out. But if I can do it myself, it's an okay rehab. If I can do the stuff
But now
myself,
you're not looking to yourself to actually do the work, are you?
no, absolutely not. I'm just saying that because one thing that a lot of people are having trouble with today is getting good contractors to stay on the job and get them working, because contractors right now are getting good business, so they don't need you.
So when did you retire from the police department, Fred?
2011.
2011. So it's been 10 years. Doesn't seem like it, does it?
It just goes flying by.
It flies by. Something I want to point out to you about Fred, I've been with him and I've seen him grow from zero to being a superstar. And his people skills, as far as thinking like an investor, his investor hat, his education is phenomenal. He also went and got not only his real estate license, but he got his broker's license to give him access to more resources, helps him stay on top of all the current laws and updates. And let's say, and now he's got IRAs, his self-directed IRAs for not only his kids and his wife, but his mom, and just phenomenal superstar. And Fred doesn't like to toot his horn too much, but he's a walking encyclopedia of experience and knowledge. So what is your single greatest takeaway been from the results you got from working together?
People skills is something that I value what you've helped me with. Yeah, that has been one of the majorest things that I would say helped me working with you, and my people skills and organizing my mind as far as an investor.
Cool. Okay. Is there anything that we could improve upon working together that you'd like to have more information or knowledge on?
Really interested in jumping loans. That's something I haven't done yet, and I want to have experience in that because I can see the value of it, but I haven't had I've come close to a couple of deals, but I haven't had the actual opportunity to go through that.
Well, you're not.
Experience. I have the education, but not the experience.
You're not going to believe this, but over the past 7 days, I have spent 90% of my time. I have updated that entire course, rewritten the entire Jumping Loans course, and dumbed it down, made it more simple, and it covers your butt. So that's kind of interesting. Did you know we were going to talk about that?
No, I didn't actually.
No. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, well, I want to thank you, Fred, being on today's Winter Wednesdays of Superstar Investors. And we're going to be working with you, and I might have you on again to see what else you got cooking up.
Oh, man, I have no problem. I appreciate everything you've done for me, man. You've been one of my angels in my corner.
Glad you joined us for another episode of 5-Hour Real Estate Week. The best thing you can do now is put this information to action. To help you get started, Mike created a free resource for you called How to Buy 50 Houses a Year, Even with Your Job. Download it now by going to mikebutler.com/50 houses. and we'll see you on the next episode.